Hello, my name is Christine DeYoung, and I am teaching a lesson today, interpreting and modeling multiplication based on backwards design and meeting state standards. So, before we begin learning something new, let's discuss some things we might already have in our noggins. 1. What is addition? This is something that we've learned and we love. What is repeated addition? What does it mean to have equal groups? And what is skip counting? All right, so this is the portion of the lesson that if we had children here, excuse the bell, if we had children here, then I would be asking them these questions, calling on them, having them give me responses. Okay, now our state standard, New York State Next Generation Learning Standard 3.0A.1. So this is where we would talk about our objectives. So our learning goals. After this lesson, we will have the superpowers of understanding that multiplication represents the total number of objects when you have a certain number of equal groups. Number 2, writing the repeated addition sentence equivalent to a given multiplication sentence. Number 3, writing the repeated multiplication, oh, no, I made a mistake. Sorry, I made a mistake. Drawing pictures and using objects to show what a multiplication expression means. And number 4, we're going to relate a multiplication expression to real life situations with equal groups. So, before we even get started learning something new, we're going to talk about our goal. We're going to talk about what our celebration of knowledge is going to test us on. So for our celebration of knowledge, we will use our superpowers to complete this mission. When analyzing a real-world scenario with equal groups, students will be able to identify the related multiplication sentence along with the correlated repeated addition sentence and develop a visual representation with 90% accuracy. Okay, so this is where I would begin the lesson. So you can see I have my visual representation. I've got a little something written down that goes along with what I'm teaching. And this is where I'm going to introduce what a repeated addition sentence looks like, what the multiplication sentence that goes with it looks like. They should already know about repeated addition, but we kind of review it here. So, multiplication is just a shortcut for repeated addition. One way to view multiplication is as groups of objects. For example, 2 times 3 is 2 groups of 3. So, we have 2 groups, 3 cookies in each group. They are equal groups, 2 equal groups. So our repeated addition sentence would just be 3 plus 3. And we all know that equals 6. Our multiplication sentence, excuse me, my iPad rotated, would be 2 groups of 3 objects. So in this picture, our group, we have 2 groups, so that would be 2. And our size is how many are in the group. So 1, 2, 3. Okay, so this is where we can see, yes, we got the correct answer. We are superstars. We find the product, which is our answer when we're working with multiplication, by counting the total number of cookies. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We've got 3 plus 3 equals 6. We've got 2 groups of 3. That also equals 6 because they are the same. I'm finally doing the recording thing, sorry. Do you need to have me do it a different time?
Is it already by second?
Yeah, that's fine.
We're recording right now.
Yeah, I forgot my laptop, so I'm doing it on my phone. It's fine. Okay. So, we have 2 groups. Our size is 3 because we have 3 cookies in each group. And that makes our product, or as the kiddos know it at this point, having all this experience with addition, total. Okay, so every time in multiplication, it's going to be the same. Our groups times our size will equal the product. So let's try an example. We have 3 boxes with 2 pizzas in each box. So what would our addition sentence be for these groups of objects? This is where I would have the kiddos come out with their whiteboards. They each have one at their desks, and they would be working it out. I would guide them. And this is where we check our work. A repeated addition sentence looks like this. 2 plus 2 plus 2 equals 6. And we can do that by counting them all together. So now we'd move on to our multiplication sentence. So we see we have 3 groups with a size of 2 pizzas in each group, making our total 6. This is where I want my kids to start recognizing that there's a pattern already. Okay, so we're gonna use a little bit of scaffolding here, and I would have them attempt to do this on their own without my guidance while I rotate through the room. So I would ask them what the addition sentence would be for this. They'd all work, I'd give them some time. And then once everybody seemed like they were all done working, I would present this slide. 3 plus 3 plus 3, we count them all together, that would equal 9. So, next, I'd have them erase their boards, do it in a super fun way, make it feel like a game. And this is where we would introduce the multiplication sentence. Again, 3 groups of 3. This way, I am trying to get them used to different methods of seeing things, different formats. So this is wordier than what we've worked with past slides. While they worked on their whiteboards, this would be up, so they know with my instruction that they need to write at the top of their whiteboards every time. G for groups, S for size, P for product, and figure those out. And all together, we would count them, talk about it, how they came to this conclusion. I would call on some hands, and we'd do another example. I'm going to skip through this for time's sake. Really emphasizing the group size and product. And this would be our first little formative assessment here. 4 times 1. So after we do our quick formative assessment where I have them do an exit ticket that I have printed out for them, then we'd move on to creating the visual representations. So this would be not just one class, this would be a few different classes. Okay, so again, we would do groups times size equal product. That is our friendly reminder, and the kids need to label that. This time, with my instruction, I would tell them, okay, how many groups do we have? That's how many circles or boxes or whatever I want them to draw. And I would ask about the size. What's our size? And they would draw an X or a dot or whatever. If they wanted to draw plans, they could, in each group. would do a couple more examples of this. As you can see, I've got watermelon this time. 3 times 4 equals 12. So we demonstrate that, but I'm also giving them time for discovery, to do it on their own. Next, we are talking about doing visual representations with arrays instead of just doing our circles in the equal groups format. So I talk about how rows go side to side, just like a farmer plants his corn, his crops, his wheat. Columns, we think of the Colosseum. Columns go up and down. We go over that a few times. I call in hands. And I give them an example. So I say, look at this example. Oh, sorry, tablet. 2 times 3 equals 6. So how would we draw that? We've got 2 rows and we've got 3 columns. We can also relate this to, we've got 2 groups with a size of 3 in each group. And this is where I would explain that. Okay. What would 3 times 3 equals? Or what would 3 times 3 equals 9 look like? So again, I have this written both ways because they're gonna need to know it. Words and numbers. 3 rows of 3 or 3 rows and 3 columns. We have yet another example with some beautiful ramen noodles. And this is where I give them a little more independence. We're really exercising that scaffolding. So 2 times 5, 2 rows of 5 or 2 rows and 5 columns. So for time's sake, I'm kind of flipping through these things so you can see the lesson, feel the spirit of it, see how I did this with my backwards design, and then we're gonna kind of shorten it up. Okay. Since we have finished our portion with arrays, rows and columns, this is where I would do another exit ticket. A little formative assessment. Check their knowledge, make sure everybody's getting it, see if I need to reteach anything, review anything. Okay, on to the next thing. So, in order to reach our objective and our state standard, we need to apply this to real world situations. So, we're talking about word problems. So I'll say, let's level up. We're going to try out our new skills with a couple math stories. Engaging kids. Math problems sound so boring compared to math stories, so we sugarcoat it, especially in 3rd grade. Okay, so we'll go through this first one together. And again, I am attempting to engage the students, so we're using Minecraft. So I said, Steve just escaped a creeper and he needs health hearts. He finds 2 groups of health hearts, 1 in the village and 1 in a mine shaft. Each group has 4 health hearts. How many health hearts does Steve have now? So we talk our way through it. We're really working with Vygotsky's theories here. We are doing some scaffolding, giving them a lot of guidance at first. So first, we need to look for important clues in our story that help us figure out what our multiplication sentence will be. So once we figure that out, it will be easy to solve. If my iPad works with me. There we go. So this is me demonstrating to the kids how they're gonna do this. So we find our important numbers. We've got 2, we've got 4, and I'm gonna tell them to circle them. Then we are going to underline some words. Groups, that's very important. He finds 2 groups. Okay, so we're already filling in one of our blanks. We know we have 2 groups. And I am going to explain here, each is a clue word. So each group has 4 health hearts. So the word each gives us a clue that we have 4 for our size. Okay, so here we have it drawn out, which is what I want them to do when they're trying to figure these out at this level. So as a group, we're talking about, or a class, we're going to talk about our groups. We're going to talk about what our size looks like, and then we're going to count our health hearts together and determine the product. So this is where, after we talk, we check our answer, and yay, the lesson tells us what the answer is. We move on to our repeated addition sentence. We cannot forget about that because this works hand in hand with what they already know, their previous knowledge. So 4 plus 4 equals 8. And we're gonna integrate, again, what we've learned in the past lesson. We are going to demonstrate this, make a visual representation with an array. So we already talked about our groups, our size, and our product. So we related again, seeing both names here, rows, columns, and again, product. And we do another example. So I'm gonna skip through this. This one's a Fortnite one, again, trying to engage the kids. So it says, Fortnite is glitching and there are loot llamas everywhere. To get a victory royale, you have to find as many as possible. Luckily, you and your teammate find 2 groups of loot llamas. Each group has 6 llamas. How many loot llamas did you and your teammate find? So this is something that it's not just real world, it's their real world. This is what, I've got 3 boys of my own. This is what they do. They love Minecraft, they love Fortnite, and it hits all ages. So it's one of those things. So we talk about it again. We talk about finding our clues. We talk about figuring out what our multiplication sentence would look like, as well as our addition sentence, and get a victory royale in solving this problem. So I tell them to get their whiteboards out, get them ready, and then we're gonna look at it again together. Again, we are highlighting keywords and important numbers that we need. We see 2 groups. We see each has 6 llamas, so we know our group number and our size. This is where we offer a visual representation. So they are doing this along with me. And we verify our answer all together. We count together, we're doing this together. And then we ask, what will our addition sentence look like? This is where I kind of send them off on their own again. 6 plus 6 equals 12. So again, we're implementing our arrays, and we do an exit ticket. So this is our 3rd exit ticket. This is a little bit of a longer lesson that will be split into a couple different classes, but it's important that they are retaining the information. Okay, so this is where once again, I'm engaging them. I'm saying, does everyone feel a little more super? Do you think we have all the superpowers on our list? Let's take a peek. So this is what we saw in the beginning. So I'm not gonna bore you by reading it to you again, but I would read through this with the kids, and we would be like, okay, check, 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 check. We've got all of our new superpowers, which means in adult language, we've met our learning objectives. Okay. Now that we have these brand new superpowers, let's try them out with some fun station activities. All right, so we've got some more discovery learning here. This is a little bit of an activity with centers that I planned out. So station 1, they will be creating equal groups with mini marshmallows and muffin tins and Legos as arrays. It's visual representation of multiplication sentences. So at this table, they will have multiplication sentence strips, and they will need to represent it with either an array with Legos or equal groups of mini marshmallows. The second station will be story time. So again, they're doing whiteboard magic. So on their whiteboards, they quickly write an addition sentence and a multiplication sentence for each math story. So this is almost like we're seeing how many we can do. How many can you do before our class timer rings? So yes, each station will be timed. And then our third station, we are going to implement technology, just trying to fit different learning styles here. So I love Kahoot. This is where I would implement a Kahoot game on their iPads. They would match the correct multiplication sentence to each visual representation. And I'm like, oh, what will your high score be? So we're trying different skills as well as different learning styles here. Once we get through that, we will do a little bit of review and we'll talk about our celebration of knowledge. So to keep them engaged, didn't really want to do an objective assessment. I wanted to do a performance assessment for this, just to kind of keep it interesting. I'm doing the exit tickets for the formative assessments, but for the summative assessment, I wanted to make it a little more fun. Again, implement different learning strategies. So, for this, the celebration of knowledge, I would be like, congratulations, you are all officially business owners. And this is where I would supply, because they're only in 3rd grade, I don't want to give them too much independence and have a wild class, but I would supply business ideas. I'll give an example later on. So I go through steps to making your project really great. So 1, you may work in small group of 3. You can work with a partner or individually. Once again, we are trying to reach those kiddos with different learning styles. But I'm going to pause because we have a class coming in. I'll finish this in a moment. Thank you. Okay, so this is day 2 of making this video. Please excuse me for making this in 2 parts. I'm doing this in my prep time during the school day. So let's pick up where we left off. We were talking about how for our celebration of knowledge, I am going to allow these kiddos, based on their preference, to either work in a group of 3, with a partner, or individually, based on how they like to learn best. So they will have 2 minutes to make their decision and pick their partner or group members if they choose to work together in a group. Number 2, they are going to choose a business plan from the list on the board. So I'll have like a big old list on the dry erase board, or I could create something in Canva again and add this slide. If they are working with others, they need to come to an agreement together. So we're really working on, cooperative learning here, if they choose to do that. They find a space in the room to work is our step 3. Step 4, they gather their materials and make a poster that represents their business plan that they picked. So it's okay if there are some different groups or individuals or partners that pick the same business plan. That's fine. There will be posters on the table, like a round table or whatever kind of classroom environment we'd be in, along with like markers, stickers, all that kind of stuff. Things that will help them in this process. Sorry. I'm going to pause and get myself back up on the Promethean board. Sorry about that. We're back. Okay, so number 5. So for step 5, they are going to make a video presentation after they've made their poster. And that poster, we'll get into the specifics in the next slide, but after they've finished that, they're going to make a video presentation on their iPad. So we're utilizing our technology, and upload their videos to Google Classroom. So I'd have a post in there titled TikTok Famous Multiplication. All right, next slide. So, create a poster for your very own business. So, their project should include a multiplication sentence that represents the business plan that they chose, the equivalent repeated the repeated equivalent addition sentence to their multiplication sentence, and a visual representation of the multiplication and repeated addition sentences. So they can choose to represent with equal groups. They can choose to represent with an arrays, with their rows and columns. I'd go all through this with them. And then their presentation video should be well heard. So I tell them to speak up and enunciate like an actor. That they, this is their time to be a TikTok influencer for their fellow students. And then I just tell them to let their creativity flow. Make it fun, present their poster on their video and explain how it represents the business plan. So we need that explanation as well to really move up Bloom's taxonomy pyramid, and I know that they're understanding this. I'm able to check their knowledge thoroughly. Okay, so this is where we have our details. We go over this really quick. I tell them that they've got the rest of math class today to make the poster with the multiplication sentence, repeated addition sentence, and visual representation. Remember that they may choose to make a visual representation with an array or equal groups. So that's something I would continually remind them about. So the next math class, they would be doing their TikTok videos that we submit to Google Classroom. And this is where we're kind of making alterations, differentiated learning for different leveled students. So kids that finish early and they're checked, everything looks good, I need something for them to do. So just to practice their multiplication, I'd provide a link on Google Classroom, timestables.com, and it's such a fun website with so many super fun games that really hones those skills. And then lastly, Friday, we would binge watch our TikToks and eat snacks while liking and commenting by anonymously evaluating each video with our very own physical, on paper, grade books equipped with rubrics and a kind comment section. So this is where we're kind of doing both. We're doing paper for people that are into, the kinesthetics, and then we're also doing our technology stuff too. Lastly, this would be my example that I show them. So I sell Lego minifigures on eBay, and I'm having a buy one, get one free sale. 6 customers would place orders of 2 minifigures each. If they do that, I will need 12 minifigures to prepare my orders. I have 6 boxes for my groups. Each box has 2 minifigures for each order, which makes a size of 2. If I multiply 6 times 2, I will have a product of 12 minifigures altogether. So as you can see in my example, I've got my groups, size, and product all labeled. I have my multiplication sentence and I have my repeated addition sentence as well as my visual representation. And for the sake of an example, I wrote my explanation. However, the kids may speak it in their presentation. So that is it. Thank you for your patience as I'm having to pause and come back the next day to do this video. I appreciate you all so much. Thank you.